Hi everyone, Mrs. Wilson here. After a very long break, which I didn't intend to happen, but I'm so happy to be reading with you again, especially since we've got one more chapter to go before we finish the book. And so, just as a really quick recap, if you can remember, last time we read together, Harry and Hermione, along with Buckbeak, the hippogriff, were able to go and rescue Sirius Black, who is innocent of all of the crimes that he was accused of, and they were able to help him escape on the hippogriff. And what's nice for Harry is that he now has somebody besides the Dursleys to go to during breaks, and that he can consider to be a close family member. Even though Sirius Black isn't really related to Harry, he was kind of close enough to Harry's parents that he feels like a relative that's going to take really good care of him. And so this is the way the chapter ended. Sirius, you'd better go quick, Harry panted. They'll reach Flitwick's office any moment and find out you're gone. Buckbeak pawed at the ground, tossing his sharp head. What happened to the other boy? Ron, croaked Sirius. He's going to be okay. He's still out of it, but Madame Pomfrey says she'll be able to make him better. Quick, go! But Black was still staring down at Harry. How can I ever thank? Go, Harry and Hermione shouted together. Black wheeled Buckbeak around, facing the open sky. We'll see each other again, he said. You are truly your father's son, Harry. He squeezed Buckbeak's sides with his heels. Harry and Hermione jumped back as the enormous wings rose once more. The hippogriff took off into the air. He and his rider became smaller and smaller as Harry gazed after them. Then a cloud drifted across the moon, and they were gone. So chapter 22 just happens to be the final chapter, and it's titled Owl Post Again. But here's the thing, we're not going to finish the book this time. It's rather long, so I'm going to read the first half today, and then we'll finish up with the second half tomorrow. And I will apologize for the loud bugs that have entered our yard and are making all the racket. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Harry! Hermione was tugging at his sleeve, staring at her watch. We've got exactly 10 minutes to get back down to the hospital wing without anybody seeing us before Dumbledore locks the door. Okay, said Harry, wrenching his gaze from the sky. Let's go. They slipped through the doorway behind them and down a tightly spiraling stone staircase. As they reached the bottom of it, they heard voices. They flattened themselves against the wall and listened. It sounded like Fudge and Snape. They were walking quickly along the corridor at the foot of the staircase. Only hope Dumbledore is not going to make difficulties, Snape was saying. The kiss will be performed immediately. As soon as McNair returns with the Dementors, this whole Black affair has been highly embarrassing. I cannot tell you how much I am looking forward to informing the Daily Prophet that we've got him at last. I dare say they'll want to interview you, Snape, and once young Harry's back in his right mind, I expect he'll want to tell the Prophet exactly how you saved him. Harry clenched his teeth. He caught a glimpse of Snape's smirk as he and Fudge passed Harry and Hermione's hiding place. Their footsteps died away. Harry and Hermione waited a few moments to make sure they'd really gone, then started to run in the opposite direction, down one staircase, then another, along a new corridor. Then they heard a cackling ahead. Peeves, Harry muttered, grabbing Hermione's wrist. In here. They tore into a deserted classroom to their left just in time. Peeves seemed to be bouncing along the corridor in boisterous good spirits, laughing his head off. Oh, he's horrible, whispered Hermione, her ear to the door. I bet he's excited because the Dementors are going to finish off Sirius. She checked her watch. 3 minutes, Harry. They waited until Peeves' gloating voice had faded into the distance, then slid back out of the room and broke into a run again. Hermione, what'll happen if we don't get back inside before Dumbledore locks the door? Harry panted. I don't want to think about it, Hermione moaned, checking her watch again. 1 minute. They had reached the end of the corridor with the hospital wing entrance. Okay, I can hear Dumbledore, said Hermione tensely. Come on, Harry. They crept along the corridor. The door opened. Dumbledore's back appeared. I am going to lock you in, they heard him saying. It's 5 minutes to midnight. Miss Granger, 3 turns should do it. Good luck. Dumbledore backed out of the room, closed the door, and took out his wand to magically lock it. Panicking, Harry and Hermione ran forward. Dumbledore looked up, and a wide smile appeared under the long silver mustache. Well, he said quietly. We did it, said Harry breathlessly. Sirius is gone on Buckbeak. Dumbledore beamed at them. I love it. Well done. I think, he listened intently for any sound within the hospital wing. Yes, I think you've gone too. Get inside, I'll lock you in. Harry and Hermione slipped back inside the dormitory. It was empty except for Ron, who was still lying motionless in the end bed. As the lock clicked behind them, Harry and Hermione crept back to their own beds, Hermione tucking the time turner back under her robes. A moment later, Madame Pomfrey came striding back out of her office. Did I hear the headmaster leaving? Am I allowed to look after my patients now? She was in a very bad mood. Harry and Hermione thought it best to accept their chocolate quietly. Madame Pomfrey stood over them, making sure they ate it, but Harry could hardly swallow. He and Hermione were waiting, listening, their nerves jangling. And then, as they both took a fourth piece of chocolate from Madame Pomfrey, they heard a distant roar of fury echoing from somewhere above them. What was that? Said Madame Pomfrey in alarm. Next, they could hear angry voices growing louder and louder. Madame Pomfrey was staring at the door. Oh, really? They'll wake everybody up. What do they think they're doing? Harry was trying to hear what the voices were saying. They were drawing nearer. He must have disapparated Severus. We should have left somebody in the room with him. When this gets out... He didn't disapparate, Snape roared, now very close at hand. You cannot apparate or disapparate inside this castle. This has something to do with Potter. Severus, be reasonable. Harry's been locked up. Bam! The door of the hospital wing burst open. Fudge, Snape, and Dumbledore came striding into the ward. Dumbledore, alone, looked calm. Indeed, he looked as though he was quite enjoying himself. Fudge appeared angry, but Snape was beside himself. Out with it, Potter, he bellowed. What did you do? Professor Snape, shrieked Madame Pomfrey. Control yourself. See here, Snape, be reasonable, said Fudge. This door's been locked. We just saw. They helped him escape. I know it, Snape howled, pointing at Harry and Hermione. His face was twisted. Spit was flying from his mouth. Calm down, man, Fudge barked. You are talking nonsense. You don't know Potter, shrieked Snape. He did it. I know he did it. That will do, Severus, said Dumbledore quietly. Think about what you are saying. This door has been locked since I left the ward 10 minutes ago. Madame Pomfrey, have these students left their beds? Of course not, said Madame Pomfrey, bristling. I would have heard them. Well, there you have it, Sirius, said Dumbledore calmly. Unless you are suggesting that Harry and Hermione are able to be in 2 places at once, I'm afraid I don't see any point in troubling them further. Snape stood there, seething, staring from Fudge, who looked thoroughly shocked at his behavior, to Dumbledore, whose eyes were twinkling behind his glasses. Snape whirled about, robes swishing behind him, and stormed out of the ward. Fellow seems quite unbalanced, said Fudge, staring after him. I'd watch out for him if I were you, Dumbledore. Oh, he's not unbalanced, said Dumbledore quietly. He's just suffered a severe disappointment. True. He's not the only one, puffed Fudge. The Daily Prophet's going to have a field day. We had Black cornered, and he slipped through our fingers yet again. All it needs now is for the story of the Hippogriff's escape to get out, and I'll be a laughingstock. Well, I'd better go and notify the ministry. And the Dementors, said Dumbledore? They'll be removed from the school, I trust? Oh, yes, they'll have to go, said Fudge, running his fingers distractedly through his hair. Never dreamed they'd attempt to administer the kiss to an innocent boy. Completely out of control. No, I'll have them packed off back to Azkaban tonight. Perhaps we should think about dragons at the school entrance? Hagrid would like that, said Dumbledore, with a swift smile at Harry and Hermione. As he and Fudge left the dormitory, Madame Pomfrey hurried to the door and locked it again. Muttering angrily to herself, she headed back to her office. There was a low moan from the other end of the ward. Ron had woken up. They could see him sitting up, rubbing his head, looking around. What happened? He groaned. Harry, why are we in here? Where's Sirius? Where's Lupin? What's going on? Harry and Hermione looked at each other. You explain, said Harry, helping himself to some more chocolate. That would be quite the explanation. When Harry, Ron, and Hermione left the hospital wing at noon the next day, it was to find an almost deserted castle. The sweltering heat and the end of the exams meant that everyone was taking full advantage of another Hogsmeade visit. Neither Ron nor Hermione felt like going, however, so they and Harry wandered onto the grounds, still talking about the extraordinary events of the previous night, and wondering where Sirius and Buckbeak were now. Sitting near the lake, watching the giant squid waving its tentacles lazily above the water, Harry lost the thread of the conversation as he looked across to the opposite bank. The stag had galloped toward him from just there last night. A shadow fell across them, and they looked up to see a very bleary-eyed Hagrid, mopping his sweaty face with one of his tablecloth-sized handkerchiefs and beaming down at them. No, I shouldn't feel happy after what happened last night, he said. I mean, Black escaping again and everything, but guess what? What? They said, pretending to look curious. Beaky, he escaped. He's free. Been celebrating all night. Well, that's wonderful, said Hermione, giving Ron a reproving look because he looked as though he was close to laughing. Yeah, can't have tied him up properly, said Hagrid, gazing happily over the grounds. I was worried this morning. Mind, thought he might have met Professor Lupin on the grounds, but Lupin says he never ate anything last night. What? Said Harry quickly. Blimey, haven't you heard? Said Hagrid, his smile fading a little. He lowered his voice, even though there was nobody in sight. Snape told all the Slytherins this morning. Thought everyone would know by now. Professor Lupin's a werewolf, see, and he was loose on the grounds last night. He's packing now, of course. He's packing? Said Harry, alarmed. Why? Leaving, isn't he? Said Hagrid, looking surprised that Harry had to ask. Resigned first thing this morning. Says you can't risk it happening again. Harry scrambled to his feet. I'm going to see him, he said to Ron and Hermione. But if he's resigned... Doesn't sound like there's anything we can do. I don't care. I still want to see him. I'll meet you back here. And that, my dears, is where we are going to leave off for today, as the birds have their evening conversation in the distance. So, first of all, I guess I probably enjoyed the fact that Professor Snape was so upset a little too much because, I don't know, he wanted to be able to prove that it was Harry and Hermione because it actually was, and he knew, but there was no proof about that, and so for whatever reason, that was a really enjoyable part of that chapter for me. But now I'm sad for Professor Lupin, and I'm sad for Harry and all the other students who loved him so much that he's not going to be at Hogwarts anymore. I can understand his decision, of course. If he thought that he was going to put anybody in danger, then I think he is making the right decision. But I am definitely curious to see how all of this gets wrapped up as Harry, Ron, Hermione, and the rest of the Hogwarts students end their year. And for them, their third year. So until tomorrow, it's been great reading with you again because I have missed it terribly. and I shall see you again very soon. Can't wait. Bye.